The Liberal Democrat leader, Sir Ed Davey, has announced he will boycott Donald Trump's state banquet visit next month. He says he spent all summer thinking about this, he's prayed about it, and he's not going to go.
And he said it's an attempt to send a message to the US President over the crisis in Gaza. Do you think this is in the President of the United States' interest? Do you think he thinks, oh, no, Ed Davey's not going to be at the state banquet?
No, I don't think he cares.
He would
this is clearly for a UK audience.
He would say, Ed who?
Quite possibly.
Let's speak to former Liberal Democrat MP Mark Oaten. Mark, morning, how are you?
I'm good, but I'm going to pick you up straight away, Andrew. I think for you to say this is Ed having a tissy fit and it's juvenile politics.
It's juvenile politics.
It's frankly insulting. Andrew, that is insulting to the many millions of people in this country who feel really strongly about what's happening in Gaza. Ed is taking a principled position on this. He's raising concerns about it and he's raising awareness. And to belittle it in that way does you no favours,
Mark,
Andrew.
if he went to the banquet, he could raise it personally with the President of the United States rather than having a silly little childish hissy fit and boycotting it. The President won't even know he's not there. What is the point?
Well, the point is that we're talking about it now. For a start, it's raised awareness about this issue. But actually, I think it's more of a diplomatic error to go to a formal royal dinner and start raising those issues. That's probably not the proper place to do it. Ed is taking himself away from putting that embarrassment on the monarchy and quite rightly saying, I'm not going to go. I'm going to make my protest this way. And in doing so, he's speaking up for the 72 Liberal Democrat MPs. And I think also millions of people who care in this country and want to see Trump act faster and quicker to bring what's happening in the Gaza to an end.
But Mark, Ed Davey is not a political campaigner. He's the leader of a political party. He wants to be Prime Minister. He also calls himself a Democrat. And the point of democracy is that you have to give legitimacy to your opponents because you recognise they have been elected by the people and it'll be your turn another turn. But right now, that person is in charge. That person is president. He's just destroying the sense of him being a Democrat and the Liberal Democrats being a democratic party by refusing to attend a banquet with a democratically elected world leader.
Look, if Nigel Farage was doing something like this, you guys would be saying, fantastic, he's breaking the rules.
I absolutely wouldn't.
You would. You'd say he's breaking the rules, he's being a maverick, he's doing things differently.
Mark, I would not say that categorically.
We need to learn from what Reform are doing and be more radical. Yes, take some risks. There is a risk. In what Eddie's doing here, and I'm glad he's taken the risk.
Well, Nigel Farage is being accused of wanting to do a deal with the Taliban, so I don't think that's a fair accusation.
It is. It's about how you do politics. And maybe as Liberal Democrats, we've been too nice. You know, now it's the time to speak up a little bit more, to take a tough position like this. Yes, to ruffle some feathers, because we've got as a party to be out there and speaking up for the millions of people who care about Gaza. So I make no apologies for it. I think it's a brave decision.
Right.
It will ruffle feathers. It will annoy you guys. But actually, we need to be more aggressive in our politics as Lib Dems and start fighting a little bit more aggressively about the things we believe in.
Well, I don't know whose feathers it's going to ruffle. Certainly not the President of the United States. But I have to tell you, Mark, I interviewed...
It's ruffled yours, Andrew.
No, let me tell you, I interviewed Ed Davey. We had a very nice couple of hours together in Westminster, talked to him about his son and his severely disabled son. He was very pleased with the interview, sent me a very nice note saying, thank you for being so positive and constructive. And in that interview, I asked him directly about the state banquet. Of course I would attend, he said, because it's an invitation from the King. He is my monarch, and I would want to support the monarch in such an important occasion. What's changed?
Well, obviously, I think that's changed probably since your interview is that the situation in Gaza has got even worse.
It was pretty bad then, Mark. It was pretty bad then.
It's got worse. Andrew, I think in the last couple of weeks, the famine issue has certainly got much more severe. The fact that there were journalists, independent journalists, killed by the Israelis only recently, the fact that we're seeing aid workers being killed, things have got substantially worse. We've also seen quite a large number of protests take place in the UK. And I think Ed feels, look, he wants to give a voice to those protests. And by taking this uncomfortable decision, but a brave one, he is giving voice to those protesters.
Mark, if Ed Davey was the Prime Minister right now, would you support his decision to not attend a state banquet with one of our biggest trade partners, our biggest military partners, our biggest long-term allies?
I think that's different. I genuinely do.
Why is it different? He wants to be Prime Minister.
Yes, and if he was Prime Minister, he would have the kind of access that Keir Starmer has to Trump. He would be able, in bilateral meetings in the White House, to completely raise this all the time. He doesn't. He's an opposition leader, and as an opposition leader, sometimes we've got to be a bit maverick. We have to get our voice heard. We have to do things that the Prime Minister can't necessarily do. That's the opposition reality, and I think that what Eddie's doing here is showing some really good, strong leadership. He's sending out a clear message about what this party cares about and what the protesters care about. I would love him to be Prime Minister. He isn't. We have 72 MPs. That voice still needs to be heard.
Do you think this tactic will increase his chances of being Prime Minister?
I think that the more the party can get out there and speak up strongly and boldly for its principles, the better we have. My criticism of Ed and the party is we've been too cautious on many issues. So I welcome this because it shows we're taking some leadership.
Like
Back
what?
in the day, Charles Kennedy.
What's he been too cautious on? What else has he been too cautious on?
I think we should be very clear about the fact that we want to get back into the EU, for example. I think we should be speaking up on the immigration issue. Yes, I do. I think we should, as a party, be saying that what is happening with the boats is wrong and it's a shambles and that we need to get a grip of that. There are issues like this I think the party needs to be much bolder on. We have our core principles and we need to be shouting about them, not in a nice way, just on focus leaflets through the door, but out there doing what Eddie's doing now, making headlines. And I would love us to see more from the party about immigration issues, about European issues, and of course, as he's doing today, on the issue of Gaza.
I'm just on immigration. Can I ask you, what is your point on that? What should he be saying on immigration?
Look, I think the party is too quiet on this issue. We should be saying that what is happening with the boats coming to this country is a disgrace. It is shambolic. The government need to get a grip of this. It is no way to run an immigration policy, to have illegal gangs. Why on earth can we not police our shores and stop this happening? Why on earth are we not, for example, using the Navy to intervene to be able to stop the boats coming through? Now, I'm a liberal and I'm compassionate, but I believe also in fairness, passionately in fairness. And for all of the good, genuine asylum seekers, we need to be supportive. But these are not what's happening to the boats. This is wrong.
Well, it sounds remarkably like the policy with which Donald Trump won the election in America. He's been incredibly successful at stopping illegal entrance into the US. I mean, if Ed Davey attended the banquets, perhaps he could get some tips.
Look, what I think we need to do, and it's a phrase that was used many decades ago, it's called tough and tender. There is nothing wrong with being tough when things are not working and tender when you want it to work properly and compassionately. And I believe that Liberal Democrats are very much known for their tender side, wanting to be welcoming for genuine legal immigrants. But we need to be also tough and show that we understand the concerns and we want a fair immigration system. What is happening at the moment isn't fair on anybody. It's a shambles, frankly.
All right, that's the former Lib Dem MP, Mark Oaten, with rather strong views on the immigration situation. Mark, always good to talk to you, Mark Oaten.
Tough or tender? How would you like your steak? That's what it sounds like.
Yes. Well, that's quite... I thought he was going to say they should be more liberal on the number of people coming. Yeah.
I mean, you know, Ed Davey is entitled to do what he wants, but if you want to be a statesman rather than a student politician,
that's exactly
stop taking protests and start engaging.
I'm sticking to my guns. It is juvenile.
We start with this story that's really infuriating Andrew this morning, which is the Lib Dem leader, Ed Davey, is due to boycott the state banquet when Donald Trump...
Malone, I interviewed Davey about 2 months ago from the Mail, and I asked him specifically about Trump coming here. Would there be protests by MPs? And would there be... I would not boycott the state banquet.
He said that.
He did. He's on the record. He said the invitation is from the monarch, it's from the king, and it's my duty to attend.
It is totally disrespectful to King Charles for him not to go to this banquet, although I suspect Charles won't know whether he's there or not. But I think the idea that he says he's going to send a message to Trump about the humanitarian crisis and go... Trump has no idea who he is and cares even less. So his non-attendance would be nothing. He's a minnow, even in our political pond. So in the worldwide global political pond, he's a nobody. So the idea he's not going and that this is going to upset the world in some way it's farcical. He puts too much importance to his own position in politics. When was the last time he heard...
Do you think they're going to wake up the president in the middle of the night and say, Sir Ed Davey's not going to the state banquet?
Do you think it's student politics?
Yeah, he would say
it's not about... Look, Ed Davey does not think that Donald Trump is going to care about this. That's not the purpose of it. Ed Davey has, 50, 60 MPs? I forget the
72.
72, exactly, so even more. So that's a sizable proportion of Parliament. He is the leader of the third biggest faction in Parliament, and... if you are a party who doesn't get a lot of publicity, who has strongly held views, I think we can all agree he has strongly held views on Trump. I don't think he's lying about his views on Trump. Then you have the position and the ability to make a certain statement when Trump comes to London on a state visit, which should never have been invited. He should never have been invited on a second state visit, particularly so shortly into his second tenure and when he's doing so many disgraceful things. The other day he said that I'm the president, I can do whatever I like. He said that people want a dictator. He's doing this in open sight. I think that if you're the Liberal Democrat leader, you have the right to make a protest against that. And it's not the first time it's happened.
But it's a pointless protest.
When the Saudi king came a few...
You just got to keep talking.
Well, I was about to finish my sentence, that's all right with you, Carole. Yeah. When the Saudi king came a couple of years ago and there was a state banquet, the Liberal Democrat leader at the time, Min Campbell, also boycotted it. And that was seen as a principled move by many, many people.
You've just said he's a leader who does things to get publicity, and that's what he's using this for. So he is using it to get him and his party publicity. And he says that Donald Trump could stop the war between Gaza and Israel. No, he can't. How can he do that? He can't stop the war in Ukraine. So how on earth can he stop the war that's happening there? It's not going to happen.
By stopping giving carte blanche to Benjamin Netanyahu. He could stop the war overnight. Of course he could.
Well, he hasn't in Ukraine, and he said he was going to do that on day one.
Israel could not prosecute the war without US military backing.
I mean,
they are funded and backed by the US. But for me, the broader point is that, I respect Ed Davey's view on Trump and his conscience decision, but there's a difference between being a campaigner and a protester and being someone who wants to be Prime Minister, who ought to be, in my view, mature enough to meet with and engage with people who are democratically elected in other countries, even if you strongly disagree.
Miriam, I agree